drop in commodity prices an opportunity for PNG. Workshop reveals weaknesses in juvenile laws. And SABL COI findings quashing, not surprising.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
A very good evening to you and thanks for joining me. This is Wednesday's news. The drop in commodity prices is an opportunity for PNG to diversify its investments. These were comments from the editorial director of the Oxford Business Group, Marco Venditti. He was speaking at the media conference that marked the launch of the report Papua New Guinea 2015, which gives an insight on PNG's economic performance and potential.
The launch of the report Papua New Guinea was held today by the Oxford Business Group and its editorial partners, including BSP Capital and Leigh Lewin Lowing Sullivan Lawyers. It's the 4th edition on PNG and, according to partners, OBG's publication has accurate, in-depth and balanced content about Papua New Guinea.
I think Oxford Business Group does a fantastic job. This publication, in my assessment, is quite unique, both for its depth of quality in terms of the journal. I'm not sure if journalistic's the right word. I mean the editorial content.
Editorial Director Marco Venditti highlighted milestones in 2015, including marking the first full year of LNG production. However, the drop in commodity prices means PNG must diversify its investments instead of relying on the extractive industries.
Because at the end of the day, everybody knows that Papua New Guinea cannot keep on counting only on extractive industries. This is a country that needs to diversify, needs to create that opportunity for investment, for domestic as well as international investment. We'll be here to monitor that.
OBG Project Director Ivana Karapik said OBG's reports are a go-to source for emerging markets with presence in high-level global events such as the World Economic Forum, presenting investment opportunity. She said there are also plans in place to make the report more accessible through the internet, via mobile apps and social media sites.
So there's a lot of new things happening in OBG, but in any case, we are very happy to be in Papua New Guinea. I'm very happy to see this country in this moment because I personally think in about 5 to 10 years, Port Moresby is going to be a completely different city, completely developed.
The OBG is a macroeconomic research, consultancy and publishing company that specializes in production of business intelligence reports in emerging markets. At the moment, OBG produces 38 annual reports in 34 countries. As for the report Papua New Guinea 2015, over 90,000 copies are expected to be distributed worldwide, with most of the reports to go to Europe and North America. 19,000 copies will be distributed locally. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
Malay shops and businesses reopened today after 2 days of protests calling for a crackdown on street vendors and petty crime. Public motor vehicles also resumed their operations today, allowing movement between town, Eriku and the Lae main market. MTV's Bethany Harriman reports from Lae.
The main market area had activity, the car park filled to capacity, people from rural Morobe bringing vegetables to sell and residents buying after 2 days. There were no signs of street vendors or loitering around the bus stops. Today, families were moving freely between shopping centers and the main market area. Business operations have fully resumed. Bus operations began again from the main market, Eriku and town.
In Lae's top town, residents and businesses are going about their daily routines. People are also going to major shopping centers, Food Mart and 86 to buy supplies. Residents and businesses have now access to banks and other services.
In Eriku, people were moving between shops to buy supplies. Street vendors have all disappeared. The remaining 6 days will see if they do stay removed. 2 days of protesting called on the provincial government to crack down on street vendors and their suppliers.
Now stop him
Morobe Governor Kelly Naru has issued immediate directives to the Lae City Council to remove and ban street vendors. A 7-day ultimatum was given to the provincial government to address other issues raised in a petition. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News, Lae.
On the same note, since yesterday, there is a total ban on street vending and petty crimes in Lae City. The ban extends to all Asian shops who supply store goods to street vendors. But Lae City Manager Roy Kamen says the ban cannot be fully implemented if there is no funding to support it. MTV's Martha Lewis reports.
Yesterday, Morobe Governor Kelly Naru imposed a total ban on street vending and petty crimes in the city. There is now a zero tolerance on pickpockets, stealing and harassment against women and girls. But Lae and local level government cannot implement the ban if there is no funding.
Morobe provincial government, governor working decision on a total ban of street selling. Time total ban decision come up. Money too must come inside so that we will implement this instruction. Otherwise,
it needs about 100 million kina to beef up municipal services in the city. Currently, its budget allocation of 100,000 kina annually cannot cater for the ban.
We are looking at almost 100 million of running Molisla so that people can beef him up all police all policing units. People can beef him up all sectors.
Yesterday, more than 3,000 protesters arrived at the St. Ignatius Kilage Stadium at 10 a.m. in the morning. The protesters presented their demands for a total ban on street vending and petty crimes to their provincial leaders. Morobe Governor issued directions to the Lae City Council and police to implement the total ban on street vending. Martha Lewis, National MTV News, Lae.
Opposition leader Don Pollier says the Morobean people are peaceful and have the right to stand up for their rights. Pollier made these comments today after 2 days of protests calling on authorities to crack down on street vendors, petty crimes and Chinese shops that supply these street vendors. He called on people living in Lae City to respect indigenous Morobeans.
I would like to make this appeal to especially those people who are not from Morobe, people who are from other parts of the country, to respect the Morobeans. I stand with the Morobeans just like I stand with other indigenous Papua New Guineans. And that has been a principle all along, that Papua New Guinea needs to respect each other, and the people who go in to live in Morobe with the indigenous Morobeans need to live in harmony.
The sentencing of Lae's policeman who shot late Moana Pisimi has been adjourned to Friday by the Lae National Court. This is to allow lawyers from both parties to prepare their submissions. The late Moana was shot on New Year's Eve following a car chase from Lae's Top Town to Back Road. A week-long police juvenile training program in Kokopo, hosted by PNG Community Police, has revealed weaknesses in PNG's juvenile laws. Acting Director of Community Policing, Chief Inspector John Kolopen, says active juvenile laws are not being exercised effectively. This sees juvenile victims and offenders usually given the same treatment as adult offenders. MTV's Edwin Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
The juvenile training that began on Monday in Kokopo brought together police officers from the New Guinea Islands provinces to be trained on how to handle court cases of alleged criminals and victims who are under the age of 18. The move taken has come from the police force themselves, the gatekeepers and the enforcers of the law. Over the years, lack of support has spurred a decline in enforcing juvenile laws during court hearings.
Our main reason is to try and help police to understand where we can help juvenile, particularly in terms of their rights. When they come in contact with the rights to be able to be heard, the dignity of the juveniles, the compassion that we have to provide when they come in contact with the law. And this is all to do with police trying to put forward the legislation that the government has now put in place.
While there are laws in place to charge offenders under the age of 18, there hasn't been much done to make it more effective. These are guided by policies such as the Lookout in Pikanini Act and Juvenile Court Act, but lack of resources and manpower have rendered these laws and policies ineffective. The move seeks to put a face to government's juvenile policies that have only been heard of.
It helps our police prosecutors to know exactly what they will do. They will present in court because they have a different system in a small way. We don't treat juvenile court the same as adults court. For instance, you don't take them to the dock and you ask them direct questions. For a juvenile, that's not the case. They have to have a certain confinement. If the magistrate has to come down without a robe on, that's how they listen to juvenile, and particularly with respect to a female as victim of sexual abuse.
While the police see this as a positive step, there are more issues that centers around how to rebuild the lives of these young people who are treated as criminals, and those who will be taking up the responsibility in reshaping these young offenders don't appear to be ready for it. Edwin Fidelis, National MTV News, Kokopo.
Here with National MTV News tonight, former NRI boss speaks on SABL court decision. Also, PNG to create its own energy policy, and Petroleum and Energy Minister urges license holders to develop PNG. Stay tuned for those stories plus more. Welcome back to National MTV News. Well, former NRI Director and Lands Development Task Force Chairman Dr. Thomas Webster has revealed that the Wewak National Court order quashing the SABL Commission of Inquiry report comes as no surprise. Dr. Thomas Webster says while the government say they want to help the people, it is not putting in place appropriate and efficient procedures to do so. MTV's Sarah Abong has tonight's MTV News special report.
During his time as the NRI Director and the Chairman of the National Lands Development Task Force, Dr. Thomas Webster raised issues with the government on the process they were taking to rectify the abuse of SABLs in the country.
The Cabinet, when they established the ministerial committee of the key ministers, Forestry Minister, Lands Minister, Agriculture Minister, to form the committee and implement the Commission of Inquiry, I wrote a letter of protest to the Prime Minister saying, look, these are the ministers and their departments who were already involved in the process of issuing the special agriculture, because they were the ones who were involved in the process of issuing special agriculture businesses, and they should not be involved in trying to fix it.
On August 20th, a court order by the Wewak National Court quashed the draft report and COI recommendation on the SABLs. This court order was a result of a case mounted against several entities of the state by the East Sepik Provincial Government and Limawa Holdings Limited. Dr. Webster says this decision comes as no surprise.
What it does is it's now thrown out the whole work by the Commission of Inquiry. Cost more than 15 million kina, 2 years of work, and other subsequent work since 2013 after the report is done. So we go back to square one again.
Northern Governor Gary Jufa, who has been vocal on the issue, says the government needs to take this decision to the higher court.
The government should appeal it immediately. The Commission of Inquiry was sanctioned, initiated, funded by the government, so they have a responsibility to taking it to the next level.
The Commission of Inquiry into the SABLs was the government's response towards the uproar against the widespread abuse of these leases. In theory, a special agriculture business lease is a way for a customary landowner to register their land if they want to get involved in an agricultural business. Between 2003 and 2010, it was found that 5.2 million hectares of land were registered under SABL, mostly to foreign-owned companies and as a cover for illegal logging. Since the uproar against this abuse, different approaches have emerged in ensuring the customary landowners regain and maintain customary control over their land. On the one hand, political leaders like Gary Jufa have set up independent investigations in their provinces and have been successful in holding to account those found to be in the wrong.
Basically dealt on the matter. The landowners took the case that what had happened was illegal. So we were not basing our efforts, our legal efforts, on the SABL inquiry. So in my opinion, it has absolutely no impact. We've already stopped that. This was in the Collingwood Bay area. The landowners and the provincial government worked together to basically stop that effort over there.
On the other hand, institutions like the Lands Development Task Force have backed the transparent registering of customary land and have helped in putting in place a new land law that helps customary landowners register their land while still maintaining control of their land. So far, with NRI in the lead, they have assisted 2 customary landowning groups to register their land.
2013 and 14, we've implemented and piloted a few programs using those legislations. So in a way, we've come far, and we've got an alternative mechanism that customary landowners can use to register and lease their land. So what the state needs to do is go out in full force to implement that.
This happens while the Lands Department continues to struggle under constant scandals of mismanagement, with the recent arrest of suspended Secretary Romilly Kilapat for misappropriation of funds. Sarah Aupong, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea will create its own energy policy to minimize the effects of global warming and climate change. Renewable resources like the wind and rivers will be used to generate clean energy. Energy specialists from selected countries have recommended that Papua New Guinea has very strong renewable energy potential.
These energy specialists recommended PNG has the potential to produce clean energy with the renewable resources it has, such as wind and rivers. Clean energy is the heat and electricity produced from renewable resources, which generates little or no pollution. PNG is currently using non-renewable resources such as gas and oil, which contributes to the greenhouse effect and poses health risks to people.
Just only acknowledging the population regarding these needs and the capacity that you have, but also in terms of creating something a little bit more complex, which is a Center for Renewable Energy.
PNG is following the global trend to produce clean energy. Once this energy policy is passed in Parliament, it will set the foundation to make PNG industrialized in 20 years.
We'll establish an independent energy regulator. This energy regulator will be able to issue licenses to private providers of power and then be able to regulate the application of the energy policy in the energy industry, right? And then we will now break up, the current monopoly, where PNG Power is the only authority or the only body allowed to generate power, transmit power, distribute power, and then retail or sell it to consumers.
Meanwhile, academics and specialists are aiming to see how higher education institutions will facilitate this whole processes of encouraging clean and renewable systems. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Opposition leader Don Pollier says poor governance has deprived people living in rural areas of access to reliable power supply. Pollier's comments follow the delay in the installation of electricity in most of the country's districts. He says the government will not reach its target of providing electricity to over 70% of the population if essential services like rural electrification projects are not executed efficiently.
Speaking during the energy conference this morning, Mr. Pollier said the limited money allocated for the RE program should be used to install electricity in districts. Pollier said the project commenced in 2013, but many districts still lack electricity supply. RE is a joint project between PNG Power and members of parliament to provide electricity to rural areas. PNG remains one of the countries in the world with the lowest rate of access to modern energy. Since 2000, there has been an increase in the demand for electricity in rural areas.
The other aspect of it is the governance, the management, best business practices. They don't have that.
To accommodate this, the government rolled out the RE program to increase people's access to electricity. In the 2015 July Parliament sitting, 2 years after ARI was rolled out, it was revealed that no electricity was installed in Engoram district. The majority of Papua New Guineans still depend on traditional biomass, lighting or heat.
So that's where the problems are. So even to get things done on the ground, we need to have an efficient system of delivery, a governance system, institution that must be allowed to perform its job.
Polia predicts the ARI implementation next year will be delayed in most districts because of the limited funds allocated to the project under the District Development Funds for 2016. Taklagunga, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guineans must not be ashamed to promote our local artifacts in domestic and international markets. PNG Women in Business founder and executive director Janet Sabe has urged businesswomen in Port Moresby to do this, saying PNG artifacts are unique.
Women can now market their artifacts without having to worry about the cost of renting a place. It was a surprise when the announcement was made by Ms. Sape. A portion of the CPL Waigani car park was reserved for women to market their artifacts. Sape said that she observed the struggle and made it her duty to find an affordable place for women to market their handiwork. The market will be open for business by Friday this week.
City Pharmacy has partnered with PNG Women in Business to assist our women here who struggle to do business, and we're very thankful to City Pharmacy Limited for giving us another chance, and we believe that it's going to be a long-term partnership, and we are happy to work with them.
Ms. Sape also took the opportunity to market upcoming talents like Morris Opeti, Teresa Miria, and Didi Maru, all vocal fusion finalists. As a mother, she felt it was time to also empower young people to see the launching of their careers.
I'd like to thank you, Janet Sape and her team for giving us this chance, the platform to expose more our talent and our gift. And there's such perfect inspirations to us. So for me, I would like to really take this and help the mothers as well.
Melissa Goviro, National EMTV News.
Minister for Petroleum and Energy Nixon Duban has issued a warning to cancel oil and gas license holders who are not maximizing their projects. Duban says it is becoming a trend in PNG where some licenses are being warehoused. The minister announced this yesterday during the announcement of the new offshore liquefied petroleum gas project in the Gulf province.
Minister Duban highlighted the importance of developing oil and gas licenses in the country. He said the government will not tolerate people and companies who are not doing anything with their license.
As Minister, I have taken some very strong stance in the department by cancelling already a few. And I will not stop. I will continue to cancel for those who have not done anything with those licenses. This is not your driving license. It's a gas and oil license that ought to be developed. You put up a work program, you put the money down and develop those licenses.
The warning comes after what Duban described as license warehousing, where he said some small and big oil and gas companies who are investing in PNG are not considering the local economy. He said the government will continue to play its part in making sure full benefits remain in the country.
That when we come to project agreement, we will insist as government that they must also provide domestic market.
The minister also said the Oil and Gas Act in the country must be revised to cater for new developments, such as the new offshore liquefied petroleum gas or LPG project in the Gulf province.
The other issue that I am mindful is where you don't have landowners, in terms of offshore projects. How do you factor in this issue where in other areas you have landowners who are identified by a social mapping? This is a project where there are no landowners but a provincial government. So how do you make up that loss? Those are issues that we want to take to task with the department to have a look at.
Minister Duban said this project presents an opportunity for PNG as there is a good market for LPG in the Asia-Pacific region.
You know, we, in the country, while we talk about LNG, this is LPG, you know. And I think the market for this country is very good. We have a lucrative market in Papua New Guinea and in the region, and we want to see Papua New Guinea resource develop to that effect. Import substitution, you know, most of the time you hear about it. You know, this thing will go up. It'll take some challenge into that domination, and hopefully, you know, we can tap into the region. They can be reverse traded to Australia too.
Stanley Oved Jr., National EMTV News.
And now let's take a look at the finance news. The Kina closed unchanged at $0.3395 in the interbank market today. And at Bank South Pacific, our Kina was trading at $0.3320 $0.4691 Australian dollars, 0.3062 euro, and 40.57 Japanese yen. Taking a look at commodity prices at New York close, gold, coffee and cocoa closed the day higher, while copper closed lower. Palm oil and copper closed lower as well, while crude oil closed the day higher. And lastly, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 28 points lower, the ASX closed at 17 points lower as well, and the All Ordinaries closed at 82 points higher. You're watching Wednesday's news. Businessman files case with Ombudsman Commission over land in Madang Town and 25 years of loyalty in the aviation industry. Those stories and interesting headlines overseas when we come back. Stay with us. Thanks for your company and welcome back to National EMTV News. To an inspiring story now, Barbara Kaimet-Takai will clock 25 years of service in the aviation industry. Her journey is full of challenges and achievements, one that can be most memorable and yet unforgotten. Our journalist Fabian Akalits was in Goroka and he had a chat with her.
It's something that really touched my heart.
Auntie Barbara is a popular name in Goroka Town, Eastern Highlands Province. She is the agent manager for PNG Air in Goroka. This year she will clock her 25 years of service with PNG Air since the beginning of this company from the Dan days of Millen Bay Airlines MBA and Airlines PNG.
Started on the 15th of January 1991 and I worked till the company name changed to PNG, Airlines of PNG.
The new ATR aircraft maiden flight to Goroka yesterday is something Auntie Barbara will always treasure. She told MTV News since she joined the airline industry, she had never seen a brand new aircraft.
It's the first experience in Papua New Guinea to have a brand new aircraft.
This is a milestone in her employment career.
Mostly my interest is to train younger people to take on the job. So I have trained many Papua New Guineans and they have gone out to work in other provinces.
Auntie Barbara was congratulated by the PNG Air Management, led by Chief Executive Officer Murali Siva, on a loyal service to the company. Fabian Akalits, National EMTV News.
Awan Corp Limited, a locally owned company, has slammed the actions of Madang Governor Jim Kass over a portion of land in Madang Town. Awan Corp owner and businessman Matthew Minape claims Mr. Kass has illegally stopped the development of that piece of land. Mr. Minape has filed complaints with the Ombudsman Commission and investigations are in progress. Well, the Red Cross Special Education and Resource Centre is a learning place for children with special needs. Although there is a great need for such centres, this centre still needs a lot more resources.
The Red Cross Special Education Centre is one of 4 centres in Port Moresby that caters for children with disabilities. The Learning Centre focuses on the children's special needs and also teaches them basic maths and language skills.
Most of them are deaf, profound deaf, which means they cannot hear and they cannot talk. But some are hard of hearing in which they can lip read. We also have different disabilities that needs that the children have at the school. Some are slow learners, some have intellectual, physical, some have both or even more.
The senior inclusive officer, Christine Kenya, said it is a challenging task with only 4 teachers and assistant aid workers from the Red Cross.
Tough problem. We have things in which we need to have in place like sign language books. We need to have a good classroom where they can sit down and learn, a place where they can freely stay outside and play and have fun at times. So there are a lot of needs that we have.
Kenya says some of the children commute to school on their own, which presents a need for the center to provide safe transport for the children, which they currently cannot do. Today, the students had a special visit from the Miss Pacific Islands pageant contestants. The students put up a heartwarming welcome show for them. The contestants, accompanied by the reigning Miss PNG, Grace Nugi, and pageant patron Linda Babao O'Neill, were at the school as part of their humanitarian service to the community. The contestants were taken into the classrooms to see how they learn.
The contestants, got to meet and be up close and personal with children with learning disabilities. It was an eye-opening experience for us all and very emotional one as well.
Marilyn Diapatam, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, and a British flight narrowly missed a rocket attack in late August while approaching Egypt's Sharm el-Sheikh in the Sinai Peninsula. The close shave was recently confirmed by Thomson Airways. Following investigations, UK government experts concluded that there was no cause for concern and that flights could safely continue. The rocket missed the jet carrying 189 passengers on board by a mere 300 meters, but authorities do not believe it is related to the recent downing of Russian Metrojet flight 9268. And in other flight news, Daredevil jetman Eve Rossi and wingman Vince Reffett made a stunning display soaring above Dubai's Palm Jumeirah Islands alongside an Emirates A380 airliner. The duo seemingly cruised alongside the plane at 4,000 feet, using 4 engines in a 10-minute show, which is the limit of the jetpack's endurance. Jetman Rossi says it was a surreal experience, flying alongside the biggest aircraft there is. The stunt show was meticulously choreographed over 3 months, considering the Airbus A380 could have immediately outstripped the duo as its top speed is 3 times that of the jetpacks. Emirates has an A380 double-decker aircraft fleet of 68 with plans to expand to 140 in the near future. You're watching National EMTV News tonight. We've got rugby league at home and abroad, leading off True Guy Sports. That's coming up next. Stay with us for the details.
True Guy Sports.
Thanks for joining me with True Guy Sports. The League Belong Life program has been working with the National Education Department to promote rugby league code in schools throughout the country. In-country NRL General Manager and former Canberra Raider and PNG Kumul Mark Mom says the NRL-run development program has the potential to improve social unity and gender relations in the rugby league mad nation. MTV's Shantha Roy reports.
In an interview with the United Nations Sustainable Development Forum in Port Moresby, Mom says feedback from teachers and students involved in League Belong Life suggests that rugby league team program is improving community attitudes towards girls and women, especially in schools.
Sport for development has been a very new concept. It's been around for a while, but now a lot of sports are now understanding the contribution that it can make to community and the positive contribution it can make to individuals, their lives and their aspirations for the future.
The League Belong Life program, funded by Australian government through its aid program, runs in primary schools across 4 regions of Papua New Guinea. It uses rugby league themed outdoor and classroom activities designed for girls and boys of all abilities to capitalize on the popularity of the sport to deliver key messages about respect and education.
in between those skills and those games, we continually remind them about school and respect, and the activities are used to instill that message.
The NRL employs 33 Papua New Guinean staff to deliver the program, 42% of whom are female, including 2 of the 4 regional lead development officers. The program is also striving to improve the opportunities for staff of all abilities, and currently employs a hearing impaired development officer. To date, League Belong Life has reached more than 32,000 participants, that's 48% female, and trained more than 800 teachers, that's 61% female, from more than 80 schools. Shane Saroya, National, EMTV Sports.
Well, Port Moresby Rugby League will be entering their preliminary finals this weekend at the Murray Barracks Oval. Royals Club has qualified in both the A grade and women's divisions. The men competing against Connor Storms, while women facing Paga Panthers. Paga Panthers under 19 side will play Brothers. Pom RFL favourites Brothers will meet Souths in the preliminary finals, also in the A grade. All winners will meet in the grand final next Sunday. The Manila Storms have claimed victory, attributing it to their coach, Timothy Bupe, a Papua New Guinean living in the Philippines. Bupe, who is the Philippines National Rugby League Development Officer, introduced rugby league to the Filipinos, with many now showing interest in the code.
With only 6 weeks of training, the team captained by Aldel Castillo Tesoro led the Storms to a heroic 34-40 win in their first match against a Hong Kong residents team. 75% of the Manila Storms never played rugby league, and with their active participants, they have put on an outstanding performance beyond expectation. They showcased their solid defense, making it difficult for the Hong Kong team to score. This was the first experience of rugby league for the local Filipino players on home soil. The next match will be on December 7th at Legazpi against Albay Vulcans Rugby Club. Elijah Levet, National, EMTV Sports.
You're watching True Kai Sports tonight. We'll have Union from East New Britain, the latest in local boxing, and big man Sam Burgess is back in the NRL. That's rounding up True Kai Sports. Up next.
True Kai Sports.
Good to have you back with True Kai Sports. Well, Rugby Union has no doubt been a hot favourite in the East New Britain province, with many of our pukpuks coming through their local competition. While the ENB Rugby Football Union has been one of the integral feeder unions to the pukpuks jersey, they are on the road to doing the same for the PNG Palais. They have become the first union outside of Port Moresby to establish a women's rugby competition with the most numbers of female participants in the country.
Following great interest from the ongoing Pacifican Union program, especially girls playing rugby, the women folk have decided to put on their rugby boots and have formed teams to take part in the ENBRFU Local Sevens Comp, which kicked off just last week. So far, they have been learning the basics of rugby sevens under the guidance of club coaches and senior players. Blessed with the natural flair of Islanders, ENBRFU President Hubert Minana is quietly impressed with the skills, speed, enthusiasm and overall knowledge of rugby shown by women. However, Minana said it was paramount that PNGRFU comes on board with running coaching and refereeing clinics as an integral aspect of the code's development in the province. The East New Britain Rugby Football Union is the first union outside of Port Moresby to establish an independent women's rugby competition. Now, while this demonstrates gender equality within the Code of Rugby Union, it also puts the NBRFU in a position in which many unions right throughout the country should look towards. Lorraine Genia, National, EMTV Sports.
Ricky Berua, president of the Abao Amateur Boxing Association, claims that his position as the president of that club has been forfeited without his consent. This follows an article in one of the dailies about the preparations of the National Boxing Tournament, where it was claimed that another person is president of the Abao Amateur Boxing Association.
Raised his concern regarding the position, saying the PNG Boxing Union didn't consult him on the decision to appoint Noki Meiti as the interim president of the Abau Amateur Boxing Association. Berua says the article has come as a shock.
I am the founder and formed Abau Amateur Boxing Association from scratch. And I am still the president of Abau Amateur Boxing Association. And also, Declare is not the executive member of Papua New Guinea Amateur Boxing Union, and he has no obligation and has the right to appoint unnecessary people to take my position as the president of Abau Amateur Boxing Association.
He said PNG Amateur Boxing Union should not interfere into the affairs of the local provincial associations, while Abau Amateur Boxing Association is an affiliated member of the PNG Amateur Boxing Union. The mother body should not interfere into the affairs of the local provincial associations. Berua said tournament director Dick Larry was in no position to make decisions about who should run the local club, rather than focusing on events and issues related to PNG Boxing Association Union. Fighters are in preparations for the national boxing tournament in KVN this month.
I am training them at the Holiday in Life Gym, and we are all prepared to represent Abau in the national championship in KVN.
Godwin Eki, National MTV Sports.
Well, Sam Burgess has announced his return to rugby league when he arrived in Sydney, Australia this morning. Burgess will join his brothers Tom and George to play in his favourite Rabbitohs after being released from English rugby club Bath.
While returning to Sydney this morning, Burgess said he can't see himself leaving NRL after returning to the code from English rugby. His return to league is a permanent one. He told South Sydney fans he is ready to play good football. His experience in playing English rugby and in the recent Rugby World Cup has made him a better athlete. Burgess copped criticism following England's failed Rugby World Cup campaign. Although he did enjoy playing rugby, he knew that league offered him something different. Although he appreciated rugby and enjoyed the code, deep down league was for him. The 26-year-old believes he is better suited for league and is delighted to be back in Australia to play for the Rabbitohs. Many may say his venture to rugby was a failure, but he's proud of his achievements in the year and is thrilled to be back to play rugby league. Dion Kombeng, National MTV Sports.
And that's how we wrap up True Kai Sports tonight. Coming up next, we've got your weather details for the next 24 hours. Don't go away.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Taking a quick look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. In southern region, Port Moresby, fine weather. In the Momasa region, all centres to look forward to brief showers. In the New Guinea Islands, possible evening showers developing in Buka. And lastly, in the Islands region, all centres to look forward to patchy rain, then morning fog. And that's been your news, sports and weather for today, Wednesday, the 11th of November 2015. On behalf of the entire news crew, I'm Tokana Savi Jr. Thanks for your company. You take care and stay happy. Good night.